Here I am back in Albion Online, gathering flax and ore and just kind of screwing around, doing whatever I feel like, as I've done so many times before. And I can't help thinking about all the things that Albion Online does really, really well, and also all the things that make Albion Online a terrible experience in other ways. In Albion Online, everything is player made, tradable, resellable, and the money feels real, the items feel real, the marketplace and the commodities in the game feel real. The way crafting works makes sense in a simple, elegant way. And all in all, it does a really wonderful job of taking a lot of simple elements and putting them together into a complex package that's very easy to understand and also very difficult to master. Along with that realism comes toxicity of a unique nature that's prevalent in sandbox MMOs. Truth is, there's only two sandbox MMOs that I know of, one being EVE Online and the other being Albion Online. By sandbox, I mean that everything that happens in the game, from narrative to economy, is player-driven. There's no quests in the game. It truly is all about you doing whatever you want to do. There is no right way to play the game. So, with that liberty and lack of direction comes player griefing tendencies. That people play the game just for the purpose of getting under each other's skin. Whether that's trolling in the English chat or ganking or just all in all trying to figure out how to get more gold, even if it's at the expense of another player's experience. But there's something to be said for the fact that something feeling real is more important than something looking good. Authenticity goes a long ways. And there's a lot of MMOs out there that are theme park games. They feel fake because all the mechanics are really geared toward giving people what they want to see in a way that pleases everyone, but doesn't really have any substance below the surface. Albion Online feels authentic, it feels real, and it's also a game that doesn't take a lot of attention. Yeah, I find that it's extremely easy to just chill out, play the game however I feel like, usually hang out in the safe zones, gathering random mats, maybe doing some refining. And I can be watching a movie on the other screen, I could be listening to an audiobook. That's really where, when I look back, I realize Albion has given me a lot of positive experiences. Not because of what it is, even, but sometimes because of what it isn't. It doesn't require a lot of focus. It's a simple, lightweight client. And along with that, I've been able to multitask. And so Albion has become an MMO that fits in really well between the cracks of other activities. It's like if you put rocks in a jar and then you put pebbles in a jar and then you put sand in the jar. If you put them in that order, you can get all of them in. Other games I find take up a lot of my focus, so I can't really do something else particularly. So it's kind of do one or the other. Maybe it's playing through Story Quest in a different MMO. I can't play the story quest and really pay attention to it and pay attention to something else on the side. So it's which one am I going to do? But then maybe I don't really enjoy the story all that much in a lot of other games. So questing winds up being a means to an end. You start feeling like, well, I want to get through the quest material. But the question is, did I really enjoy the story? Was it really fun? Was I really engaged with it more than I would be engaged with something else that might be a better story? There's a lot of single player RPGs that have better stories than MMOs, which are designed to be long-term grind fests. There's a lot of things that you can watch and enjoy that are outside of gaming entirely, like an anime show or a television show. It's not a game, but it's still a great story that you can be immersed in. Albion allows you to be as hardcore or as casual as you want. And I know that people say Albion Online is supposed to be a hardcore game, and it's boring if you don't do a lot of full loot PvP, and I wouldn't doubt that that's true, but it's also true that if you just want to chill out, listen to a favorite audiobook or your favorite music after work, or a TV show you wanted to catch up on while you hang around in a blue or a yellow zone gathering random stuff, you can do that. I've been doing that for a long time, and I enjoy the game. It's a cool game. And I think, in closing, I've realized that sometimes we want things to be more than what they are. We want something to be that perfect forever game. We want that thing that's going to check all the boxes. We want that thing that's going to be so awesome. And then we find things that kind of check all the boxes on paper, but they just don't really live up to our expectation. It's that game with really good graphics, but then it doesn't immerse you in a virtual reality that makes you forget that you're on Earth. It's not perfect. And then we're always looking for that perfect environment that we can escape to. And we overlook the fact that things don't have to be perfect. A game doesn't have to check all the boxes. It doesn't have to be 100% satisfying all the time. And maybe that's one of the things that makes Albion stand out as fun to me. It doesn't try to be more than just a game. It doesn't have to be a full-time hobby. It doesn't have to be a lifestyle. It can just be a fun, mindless, grindy game that gives me something to do after work while I catch up on Star Trek on my second monitor. And that's enough. That's fine. As for the toxicity in the game, yes, it's there. Yes, you will find griefing players. Yes, you will find gank squads. And yes, you will find a lot of ridiculous things popping up in the global chat. However, you can't have light without darkness. And I've experienced in a lot of sandbox MMOs this sense of authenticity, whereas in a theme park MMO, it all feels fake. So maybe it's curated in a way where the content is not offensive to anyone. And yet, it can be so sugary sweet that it just doesn't satisfy. In a way, it's nice to know that you have an economy of players that are cutthroat and mischievous and ridiculous and probably hostile with their own selfish motives. Because on the flip side, when you do have a positive interaction, it's just that much more meaningful. And if you just want to play by yourself, the truth is, you can always mute the chat box and just click trees. It works for me. So, as much as I wish perhaps that Albion was better in some ways, I still have to give it a pretty high rating for being an amazingly unique MMO that fits into my life remarkably well. And of all the MMOs I've tried, which is most of them, Albion Online has continued to be a game that I just can't quite let go of. And when I get bored of the other games, I always wind up coming back. Because whether I like it or not, Albion Online has kind of come to be something that feels a bit like home. So, that's that. Hope you have a wonderful day. And if you're on the fence about Albion Online, well, it is free to play. You can actually download it and truly try the game without paying a dime. So, there's that. Well, anyway, till next time. Thanks a lot, and goodbye.